Hey, Santee, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I think we kind of scheduled this in August.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. There's been people commenting.
Cool.
So
Hey,
I'm just
everybody.
gonna say hi to everybody. My computer is super slow. I don't know why.
Because it's Wednesday. It's middle of the week. It's
Wednesday. The Phillies are in the World Series, and I'm 15 minutes from Philly. So I'm trying to share these comments, but it's not letting me. But there's people here. So once I think we're frozen. I'm frozen. Are you frozen?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, what a horrible freezing pose to have. My gosh.
You're not frozen on my end. You're moving.
I'm not. I'm not moving. Neither are you.
Oh.
All right. Well, since I'm not frozen,
maybe I can jump over to Facebook and check or YouTube and check it out.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm frozen. I don't know what is happening here. I gotta unfreeze somehow. I can't see myself moving. I don't even if there's more comments popping up, I can't see them.
Put a coat on.
Huh?
Put a coat on, I said.
How about I do this? What am I doing?
You're moving. Okay, hold on. Let me. Okay, yeah, we saw that.
You saw that.
Yeah.
Is people in the chat seeing it?
Cliff Bennett said, "All's good. You look good."
All right, cool.
YouTube. I think you
good.
Too.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep going. We are totally frozen, and the last comment I see is Carmen popping in to say hi, but got the Phillies on. You know, so all right. So that's the last comment I see until this unfreezes.
Okay, so it's on your end that it's freezing, but it's still you're still active and live. So if you'd like, I'll check the chats for you.
Never thought my guests would have to work while they're on. Oh wait, am I back?
You're back. Okay, cool.
Okay, I got it.
All right.
I see no issues here. Mark, I see you. Both are good.
There's newfangled technology.
Yeah, I'm frozen again. Hi, everybody. So thank you for joining me this evening. I have a special guest. What was it? I think last week or the week before. I think it was last week. I had Arizona Treasure Hunter on, or maybe it was 2 weeks prior. And just so happens that, you know, you guys were kind of close together, and I have Arizona Ghostriders, right?
Yeah.
Which awesome. And I would love for you to maybe I'll shut up and you can start just talking about what you do, what Arizona Ghostriders are, you know, and, you know, we'll just go from there.
Okay.
How about that?
So Arizona Ghostriders is for lack of a better term, an Old West gunfight group. So if you ever go out west and you go to a theme park or you go to an event and you see a bunch of guys dressed up as Old West cowboys shooting each other with blanks, that's us. Well, maybe it's not us, but it's people like us. So Arizona Ghostriders, that's some people call us reenactors, but in my opinion, to be a reenactor, you actually have to reenact an actual period or an actual event in history. We don't always do that. You know, sometimes we're bank robbers, and it's not a specific point in history that we're actually doing a show on. So anyway, that's kind of what we do. We also do living history. So we're there to teach people some history about the Old West. which is quite possibly one of the most fascinating eras in our country's history. And, quite frankly, the world. A lot of
Mhm.
people are really have a real interest in the Old West period, and have been for many years. So that's kind of where we're at. We also do movies. Like tomorrow, I'm actually shooting a movie, and I'm very excited about that. But Arizona
Really?
Ghostriders is kind of encompasses actors, reenactors, living historians, um, anybody who wants to have fun playing cowboy as an adult.
Should check you guys out and follow. Now, do you go live on YouTube and stuff like that when you do all this, all these living histories and events and stuff like that? Do you guys ever post that on your YouTube?
No, we don't. We tried to once. There was an event that we were at where we tried to do it live, but the Wi-Fi was so poor that it came out awful. So we would have to do that in an area where it's really well. The tech is really good there, and I just don't think we've had a place like that yet. Because most of the time we're performing in staging areas. Sometimes we're doing parking lot shows. I mean, street shows, those kinds of things, and there's usually not a lot of Wi-Fi in the middle of a street. So yeah.
So you don't consider what you do reenacting?
Yeah. So if we were doing um, the shootout at the OK Corral, and we were
So
doing it
cool.
down to the most minute part of history, then yes, I would consider us reenactors. But we don't do that very often.
Okay.
Only if the event asks for it. Like if somebody says, "Hey, we want you to do the OK Corral shootout," then we'll go do the research and we'll go rehearse it, and then we'll do the OK Corral shootout, and then I would call us reenactors because we're reenacting a period, an actual event in time.
Okay.
But most
So
of the
there's
time,
other
it's a bunch of dumb outlaws trying to rob a bank, and one of them's really dumb, and the sheriff has to stop them. It's stuff that makes families laugh and enjoy the whole process.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
how many are they there in your group?
Well, right now there's about 6 or 7 of us.
Uh-huh.
Um, there are groups that are much bigger than ours,
Mhm.
but we have kind of a small group. It's easier to rehearse with less people, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Now, do you work with the other groups, or is it political like it is with paranormal side of things too?
No, well, yeah, I've heard some things, but yeah, it can be political. But we do when we're at events. Sometimes there's events that are competitions.
Mhm.
Which one's the best reenactment group, kind of thing. And there are events where you just have a bunch of groups performing throughout the day over a weekend. Um, and yeah, we all get along pretty well. I mean, of course, there's going to be issues as there always are in every hobby, right? you
Yeah.
know, but for the most part, we all get along really well, and we like to work with each other a lot because we all have a lot to share. We have
Yeah,
a lot to learn about.
exactly. Yeah, always learning, right?
And that's what it's really about. Is if you got to learn.
Yeah.
Just like in the paranormal field, I'm sure that you're constantly learning new stuff, and I just don't feel like if you're learning that there shouldn't be any time for political BS,
Yeah. No, that's true. It
or drama.
it really stinks that it occurs, but I feel like it's the people that are in it for the wrong reasons are the ones that create the drama, and eventually they weed themselves out, but sometimes they wreak havoc, coming in and going out, and
Yeah, they drop their bomb and they leave like the trolls on
yeah, and
YouTube,
it's like,
right?
oh, you're like, "What?" Like, "Why? Just move on, find something else," right? Um,
I think they enjoy it. I think
yeah,
they enjoy upsetting people. That sounds awful, but I think it's true
yeah,
to a
yeah.
certain extent.
No, you're right, you're right. I mean, especially there's a lot of narcissism, in all that. So,
Right.
that just goes to show you. Anyways, enough about all that stuff. Dustin says politics and drama are suffocating me. Yeah, I imagine he's doing the
Yeah.
160th reenactment for in Gettysburg, and he's
Right.
coming
So Mark Seigel, one of your cohorts, and Dustin can tell you that that's also very, very tough too. And one of the things that, and I'll say just we talk about this a lot, which is it's important for me to not discourage new people who are interested, because especially with the Old West and a little bit with Civil War, the further away we get from that history, the harder it is to get people interested.
Right.
I think, and what my problem is that, like, if you sit there and a guy shows up and he's not dressed exactly right, and then you start nitpicking him, he's going to leave. Well,
Right.
guess what? There goes. And so instead of educating him, or maybe just saying, "Hey, dude, you're good right now. We'll work on your outfit later." No, you just start berating him, and he's going to go, and he's never going to come back, and neither are any of his friends. So it's something you got to think about before you start pulling your,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
like you said, people come there for that reason. So they don't, they don't think that way. They don't think the way you think they should think. You know what
right.
I mean? It's a Mark says it's brutal at times in the reenacting community.
It is. Yeah.
Um,
And like I said, I think it's with any hobby, though. You get a couple of people who they just want to make it miserable for other people.
yeah, Dustin makes a good point. Call
Maybe
of
not
Duty.
cross stitching. I don't know. Hard to be mad if you're cross stitching, wouldn't
No,
you think?
no, no,
No?
no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. Uh, Dustin said kids are desensitized too. Call of Duty and other graphic games have made things like reenacting boring.
Um, you know what? I don't know if I agree with that. I think it's actually brought games like Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty. I think they brought more people in because people are like, "Hey, look, you know what? I'm playing it online with a little controller. Wouldn't it be neat if I could really hold the guns or really wear the outfits?" A lot of people I talk to, they played that Red Dead Redemption game, which is based in the Old West, and now they getting into reenacting because they get to live it, kind of like
Right.
cosplay, but you get to sort of live it, even though you're not really shooting people,
Yeah.
unless you're Alec Baldwin. But anyway,
That's
did I say that?
true, Dick.
Sorry about that. Too
You know,
soon?
but Dustin does bring up a good point, and with politics, like, I mean, people think that you just shut the TV off, you don't watch the news, but really, I mean, like with Civil War and even the Wild Wild West, both, you know, the whole, Civil War history, like people are trying to erase that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and then and then the Wild Wild West, I mean, that was brutal. I
it
mean,
was.
that was like, I think I wouldn't want to have lived then. I think the
No,
history is awesome. I love the history of it, but
mhm,
actually living then,
right.
no, no way.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people don't realize that and that's one of the things that I mentioned in my channel a lot is I don't sit there and say, "Oh my God, it was the worst place on earth." Um, but
Right.
what I do say is, look, there are certain things that you have to consider back then, and it's not just the Wild West; it's the Civil War. It's
Yeah.
actually up until like the 1930s, up until the dawning of World War II. People didn't bathe as regularly as we bathe now, and when I say as regularly, I mean weekly,
Yeah, they
daily.
bathe once a
You
week.
you know, um, food didn't have the same. It wasn't scrutinized in restaurants the same way as it is now. Um, there's just a lot of things that they didn't have back then. Air conditioning, there's a big one. You imagine?
No.
I don't know what it's like in New Jersey. Actually, I do. I used to live in New York, and I can tell you there are some humid summers. But if you can imagine trying to sleep when there's no air conditioning and it's 100 degrees outside, think about everybody prior to like 1940s, or 50s, whenever that came out.
I
I mean,
can't.
that's our
I mean,
grandfathers, our great grandfathers. They
yeah.
lived in that era. Ugh, imagine.
I mean, no, but I think it would have been better than Wild Wild West for sure.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I like from what I mean, I watch movies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I know they're movies, but I imagine there is some type of knowledge of the history that took place in the Wild Wild West for the movies to be able to be made in likes thereof. You know what
Right.
I mean?
So,
Um,
Taryn, there's this trend that's been going on in Hollywood over the last decade or so, and I mentioned this in a video of uh, of them depicting the Wild Wild West or the Old West era as being the most depressing, horrible time in America's existence. And if that was the truth, we wouldn't have Los Angeles. Um, if everybody was so depressed that they killed themselves or decided to turn around and go back east, the West never would have been settled. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So, was it as bad a place as Hollywood depicts? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, people had uphill battles wherever. The Wild Wild West was worse because they didn't have a lot of the stuff that they had on the East Coast. But by the time of the turn of the century, when the West was starting to get settled, they did have all that stuff.
Right.
But stuff was starting to show up. But yeah, I mean, it's a matter of the new frontier idea. You're out there and you're starting new and you're making a life for yourself and your family. You're making a future that for whatever reason you couldn't do it out east. Civil War, Reconstruction, whatever. You had to move out west. You moved out west. Now you got to make it work. And people did. And that's why we have Portland, Oregon.
Oh, well, there you have it. So one of my favorite movies is The Magnificent Seven.
Oh yeah. Which one?
Well, I know I got asked this today, and I found out it's the newer one because I was unaware of the original. Yes, yeah. Which now I have to watch because I never knew there was an original, but I will watch it. But that's what I imagine the Wild Wild West was. You know what I mean? Like people like. Basically, it looks as if like you were, fighting to survive, and it was very territorial, and it was very like, it didn't matter if you were the sheriff, like it was like, well, I'm going to kill you and I'll take over as sheriff, and everybody just followed that, it was kind of like craziness.
Keep in mind that's a movie.
I know it's a movie. I know.
It's not like there was there were huge battles and huge feuds out there in the West. Just there were some in the East too. Have you ever heard of the Hatfields and McCoys? That it's the same kind of thing, and they had that out. Only it was ranchers versus ranchers, or ranchers versus sheepmen, or whatever. There definitely was that going on. Billy the Kid was involved with the Lincoln County War, which was basically basically it was Irish versus English. I mean, it was Protestants versus Catholics. It was that kind of a thing. So sure, that stuff happened. Mm-hmm. But it didn't happen everywhere. It only happened in those stories that you hear about.
Right. So what got you into doing this? And then I want to know how you came up with Arizona Ghostriders.
Okay. Well, so I guess I've always been interested in Westerns. When I was a kid, my dad and I used to watch them. So it's a connection there with your father, and gotcha. That got me into the Old West. And I've just sort of been interested in it for the last 50 years. Oh wow. Anyway, Arizona Ghostriders. 50? Arizona Ghostriders is what's that?
You don't even look 50.
Oh, hey, there you go. It's for the last 30 years.
So the last 30 years.
Yeah.
You don't even look 50.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Wow.
Well, I work out a little bit. I moisturize and stuff. Anyway, the Ghostriders basically was an existing group. And have you ever heard the song Ghostriders in the Sky? Johnny Cash.
Yes.
Yeah, you probably have.
Yes.
I don't know the lyrics off the top of my head, but that's, I think, where the group's name originated from, is the idea of Ghostriders in the Sky. But the guys that started the group were also into the paranormal, and we sort of play that a little bit, which is where the Ghostriders were interested in the history so much that we're also searching out the ghosts of the past.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
So you guys kind of like just reenact, because I know that I've talked to like some, and this is why I've only seen, but like in Gettysburg, when I talked to some of the Civil War reenactors, where they're really camping out there on the fields, even though it's not actually at where the battles had taken place, but when they're out there and stuff like that, like they've experienced stuff.
Oh yeah, you can hear cannons, and I've seen those videos.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
So is that kind of like the same, like, is that what it kind of like trained? I mean, you're reenacting. Are you in these places that these events took place and you're reenacting? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I've had the good fortune to perform at historical towns here in Arizona. In fact, we look for them. And You've heard of the movie Tombstone? Well, we Tombstone's where the OK Corral is, and Tombstone's a
I'm your
tourist spot.
Huckleberry.
But um, Tombstone, we performed at the OK Corral. They have an actual stage there, and we
Really?
performed there a number of times over the last 20 years. We've never done the OK Corral gunfight, though. Oddly enough, we've done other ones, but there is a feeling there, and when you're in Tombstone at night, things happen. You see stuff, you hear stuff. Um, One of my guys took a picture of Allen Street, which is the main drag that goes down the center of Tombstone. He took a picture at night and with his digital camera, and there was clearly a figure of a cowboy walking across the street, and there wasn't one. So there.
Oh,
So I'll have to send that to you. It's kind of neat. Um,
yeah.
so there's a lot of haunted places. Well, you have to understand too. It wasn't just the OK Corral. A lot of people died in the Old West from gunfights. Not tons of them, like the movies would have us believe, but people did die violent deaths. There was a lot of drinking, a lot of guns, and a lot of competition back then. So I think that all of that together probably is a good recipe for spectral activity, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
then not for nothing, but you guys, so I tried this a couple weeks ago when I was in Gettysburg. I dressed up in period dress
Oh wow.
while we were at this location to try to see if it would resonate. You know what I mean? And maybe they would feel, because we walk in and half the time we're in these tight shirts and tight pants. Women, I'll say us women, and black boots and pants. Back then they wore dresses, and we aren't dressed like that. So
Right.
I did hear a woman's voice. So it's like
Wait, so you got dressed up in period
I did
Victorian women's
I did
outfit with
yeah.
a bustle and a corset and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, I was wearing this dress, had my hair up and
Oh my
everything.
goodness.
Yeah.
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 And that's where you came up with the ideas. How the hell did they wear this back then?
Exactly. I said that I was trying to walk up the steps and I'm like, how the hell did they? Thank you,
What if they
babe.
have to go to the bathroom?
Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, I'm like, I can't. I was like, I don't understand. Um, Mark's asking, Santee, do you think the mescal, am I saying that right? Mescal is haunted?
Mescal, yeah, that's a
Mescal.
movie set out here that Tombstone was filmed at. I've never asked. I don't know. It's been around since the 40s or 50s, so it probably sounded. I'll find out tomorrow. I'll ask.
So that is so cool. So like if you went to the people that run the OK Corral, knowing that you do these other types of, like if you went to them and was like, hey, can I sneak in for a couple hours and do a ghost hunt? Would they let you?
So
Or are they real strict about that stuff?
that's interesting, and I don't know because I unlike you guys don't have all the equipment. All I've got is a digital recorder,
That's
which
all you need.
probably yeah, I know, but
That's
I
all you
want
need.
that thing that's got the little laser dots, and I want all sorts of stuff. Anyway, but
You have to remember, like, I don't use a lot of equipment.
okay,
Um, I use it if there's going to be people there that, are enthusiasts, novelists that want it. They see on TV the blips and the colors and the sounds and this and that. But when that stuff is made for ghost hunting,
yeah,
I feel like there's just too much man-made interference that could happen there. So
yeah, I guess you're right.
it's hard to, you know, to it's hard to take it in account if something like that's going off. You know what I mean? So I like to
Sure.
use stuff that electricians use,
Well,
or
so yeah, no, I totally get it, and maybe I don't need all those toys. It
you
just
don't.
looks neat when you guys use them. But the to get back to that important question, I wanted to touch on this because I've heard this a lot when I've watched paranormal channels and talked to people like Drew, Drew and Mark. Um, they tell me stuff like, oh well, this hospital because it was on some TV show. All of a sudden now the people are charging a lot of money to get into it to
Yes.
do paranormal events. Well, OK Corral is one of those places too. It was on Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters and Ghosts Are Us. And I made that last one up. I don't know. But anyway, the
So
Birdcage Theater is another one. There's all sorts of them out there, but these people know, look, after hours, we're going to have a group of people come in. We should charge them something. So I don't know how many places you can get into anymore without paying something.
yeah. I'm okay with that as long as it's going towards the preservation of the location.
Is it
Like,
usually?
yeah, and usually it is,
Good.
and I'm okay with that because then I become a part of that place's history. I helped preserve it. I'm helping to try to preserve these places. You know what I mean? And to me, that I don't mind putting money out to investigate. One of these days, I would love to be invited somewhere and not have to pay to investigate. But
Yeah.
same time,
Right.
I would probably still give a donation. You know what I mean? Because I would still want to be a part of that place's history. Um, architecture and all kinds of stuff like that kind of I resonate with it. So the history, the historic landmarks,
Yeah.
walking where somebody walked 250 years ago and like knowing that, somebody it just gives a this I can't even explain the feeling, you know.
Right.
I'm
I know
attracted.
the feeling. I
Yeah,
know.
I'm attracted to the
Yeah.
history of a place as well, not just the
It's
ghost.
almost as though, especially when you go to ghost towns and things out here, you go to these small towns that are dying because they've been around for 150 years and there's nothing to sustain them. And you walk there and you can literally hear the stuff on the wind. You can hear the history. And I know that sounds really bizarre, but you just all of a sudden you feel like you just walked into a time capsule,
Hmm. Oh, I
and
get it.
you're
I
there. It's
Yeah,
weird.
and I would love to get out to Arizona. I was in Arizona once, and it was in 2013, and so it was like
Oh,
or maybe even a little bit further back. It was before, I was really into the paranormal, and it was a girls' trip. So, I went to the Grand Canyon, which, by the way, is like it took my breath away. You
yeah.
can't even
It's,
pictures give it 0 justice. You can't even imagine well,
yeah.
you can because I'm sure you've been there, but I'm just saying anybody that hasn't been there, you have no idea the the magnitude of this place. Like, and then you look in, and I'm like zooming in my camera. There's like legit ranches in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Like, and I'm like, I want to go down there. Like, I just wanted to explore. There was so much to explore,
It's
and
pretty amazing. Yeah, you're right. That's it. And there's people like my wife is one. She's lived here for 40 years and she's never been to the Grand Canyon. So we
oh
got to
my
get her
gosh,
there. But
yes, you have to. Oh my gosh, it was
hopefully
that
not when she's angry at me because then, you may not see me again. So it'll be kind of weird. But
That's
anyway,
that's my most second favorite place besides Gettysburg. Like Gettysburg is my number one, but
yeah, I
Arizona,
want to go to Gettysburg.
I would
I
love
want
to
to go
get
there.
back to Arizona for sure. I
Yeah.
would because I want to go now that I'm into this. Like I would want to see Tombstone. I would want to see all these places that are out there. That isn't it is the Alamo out there?
The Alamo?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in Texas. Uh-huh. That's in
Oh,
San
it's in
Antonio.
Texas.
Got to see the Alamo.
Yeah, it's not in
Yeah.
Arizona though. That's why I was like,
No.
okay. But I would want. Oh, you're in Arizona? I didn't know Donna was in Arizona. Very good friend of mine. Um, um, I have several people that live in Arizona, and they always invite me, but it's getting the
Well,
time
yeah,
off. It's getting out there.
right. It's not an inexpensive trip, I'm sure, but if you do get a chance, it would be great. And there's so much to see out here.
Oh my
Um,
god, I would
you
want to
come,
spend
the
a
cool
week. I
thing
would
would be
want
to
to spend some time out there. It's not. I wouldn't want it to be a quick trip.
right. You want to come in the winter though, or the fall or the spring. You don't want to come in the summer because, well, let's see this. Have you ever made cookies and opened the oven door and the heat blasts out at you? That's summer in Arizona, so you don't want that. But if you come in winter or fall or spring, you'll be walking around in a t-shirt thinking, "My God, it's snowing
Mhm.
back home." But
And Arizona fits my the time, the time zone fits my lifestyle. Like I was like, I said, this is more me, right? I was loving the time change and like the time zone there. I was like, yeah, I can get down with this. This works. And then the thing there is there's no humidity. I went in May, the end of May, I think, or like in the middle of May was when I went. And it was literally 100 degrees there, but it felt like 80 degrees in New Jersey.
yeah, okay,
You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
we have such high humidity that it's 100 degrees here would suffocate everybody.
Yeah.
You couldn't even go outside, and there I was outside all day. I was like
So, yeah,
sunbathing.
One of the things that's cool about a dry heat, you know, is the fact that, and you'll see this out here, is when you're in the sun, it's pretty bad. But as soon as you find shade, man, I tell you, it drops down to, I don't know how
Mm,
many degrees, but like you could stay in the shade in 100 and something degree weather and you're fine because it
yeah.
is a dry heat. You're not dealing with that oppressive humidity. But anyway, the ghosts seem
So
to like it.
a what?
The ghosts seem to like it.
Oh, I would.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere.
Yeah.
I love going to ghost towns. They usually put on a Western show.
Yep. Some of them do. And that's I tell you, for a reenactor or a gunfight group guy, performing in a historic place is the feather in your cap. You know what I
Oh, I
mean?
bet.
That's what you want to do, whether you do a show that's prevalent to that area or not. So we perform in a place every year called Florence, Arizona, and Florence was where a famous gunfight between a sheriff and his deputy happened. You know, they fought each other and they shot each other to pieces. But we perform there. Now it's not a ghost town, but it has that. The main street hasn't changed much in the last 150 years. So it's pretty
I
neat when
would
you're
love
there
to
and you're doing the same show that in the same spot that the event happened. You know, it's kind of weird.
yeah, it's gotta be. I mean, I can't imagine, like, you're already feeling it's gotta have that hollowed ground feeling as well. You know what I
It
mean?
does
In those ghost towns, I would love to go to a ghost town for sure.
until the
Um,
pickup truck drives by you and ruins it all. But yeah, it works out okay. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So when you come out, you know, you can experience it and go.
oh,
I'm
I totally
I don't I I'm probably not a sensitive person when it comes to the paranormal. I try to be, but there are definitely places when you walk in, you know, it's almost like the air stops moving. And maybe this is an experience you all have, but the air stops moving and you feel it's so still in that room, it couldn't possibly get any more still.
yes.
And and you feel like you're being
Watched.
watched, you know. Um, but pretty much every building out there is like that. You walk in a back room, and it's not an oppressive, mean feeling. It's just sort of like, okay, well, if this is what it feels like to be haunted, then I guess I'm being haunted. You
I'm
know,
getting haunted, yeah.
getting haunted.
Lori said, "I love when they have donkeys that play dead from shooting." That's cute.
Oh, and
What?
donkeys that play dead from shooting.
Yeah, I guess maybe they if people, like, act I guess if they've gotten shot, they'll, like, play dead. I guess they play dead?
Oh, there's a town out here called Oatman. Is she talking about Oatman? Oatman is a town where all the donkeys that were used in the mines in the 1800s were released, and all their offspring now wander around in the town, and you can go and feed them and interact with them. I wonder if she's talking about that.
She said yes.
I've never been. I'd love to go to Oatman
So what is your favorite place?
to do shows in.
Yeah.
Hmm. You know, I'd probably say Tombstone because there's so much history there.
Yeah. How big is Tombstone? Is it pretty big?
Ooh. You know, it's fairly big. You know, back in the 1800s, it only had a few thousand people in it. And now it has only a few thousand people in it as well. But it's not a huge place. It's probably about 10 or so blocks long
Okay.
and about 4 blocks wide. But there's a lot of residences there, so it's not a huge town.
Is
But
there
back then it
a lot
was
of tourists that come in and stuff all
a lot of
year round
tourists.
and,
Yeah,
like, yeah,
you
look
have to
it's like
understand that back then, though, it wasn't just Tombstone was surrounded by desert, right? I mean, it was just desert, and the next major town was Tucson, where I live, and that was probably a 2 or 3 day ride by horse or wagon. Um, Also, they when people in Tombstones lived in Tombstone, they didn't usually venture out to other places unless they had to because you had renegade Apaches off the reservation who would kill you, you know. So it was kind of like you were in your nice safe haven by living in a place like Tombstone. So it's kind of neat.
wow. See, that's what I mean. Like, I would just be like, I wouldn't be paying attention with me and my ADD, and I just would be walking, right? And then there's that line, and I'd be like, oh yeah, yeah. And I would just cross it,
And all
not
of a sudden you're
knowing,
filled with
you
arrows.
know? Yeah. And then I would get blasted with like a bow and arrow or something. Who knows?
You know, they probably sell you. Yeah.
Really?
They probably would because you're yellow hair, they'd probably grab you and sell you to another tribe, or trade you. They wouldn't sell you; they'd trade you
Ew.
for a pipe or something. I don't know.
I better be worth a couple horses or some shit. Like,
Oh, I'm sure you'd probably be worth a few horses. You with
um,
yellow hair, you will take 2 horses.
so
That's
what?
funny.
He said, "Watch out for Bill."
Yeah.
Um, so what is on the flip side of that, what's the place that you've been to that you've most felt like, there's like like you're being haunted, if we'll keep it at that because that's what we decided, we'll keep it there.
Well,
But you
okay,
feel
so
like,
my second favorite place to go was Prescott, Arizona, which is looks like it's spelled Prescott, but it's actually pronounced Prescott, which is I don't know why, but Prescott is a very cool old West town, and there's a place on it in the main drag is called Whiskey Row. You can
ooh,
see why I like it, right?
right up my alley.
That's right, Whiskey Row, bunch of saloons and all that. That's a great place to go, but Prescott's also haunted, pretty severely. In fact, pretty much on every corner of Whiskey Row there is an old hotel, and we stay in a couple of different places, and they are haunted. And we've had some experiences. One night I was, one night we were up there, and the air conditioner went off, and it woke me up because, here in Tucson the air conditioner just never turns off. So it woke me up, and I'm sitting in there in bed going, "Wow, it's really quiet in here." And all of a sudden in my ear I hear, "Hey."
Oh, I like when
I
that happens.
I like sat up in bed and my wife's like, "What's the matter?" I said, "Somebody just whispered 'hey' in my ear." And she looked at me and she said, "So answer him."
um
Yeah, it was pretty freaky. Yeah.
Prescott is named after the couple that's founded the town, and that's how they pronounce their name.
Oh, I thought Prescott was after a military general. Okay, well, I'm wrong.
Oh,
So Prescott,
Jerome. Yes.
but it's a beautiful town. If you ever, I mean, it actually was not very far from the Grand Canyon. So if you ever come back that way and you're in between Phoenix and the Grand Canyon, you should go to Prescott. It's just a really great place.
Yeah. So Jerome, Arizona, actually,
That's another good place.
So the Arizona treasure hunter used to work for Jerome Ghost Tours,
Oh,
and he used to go live on YouTube when he would do these ghost tours in cemeteries in Jerome.
oh man.
And he used to, I mean, like he would have like 100 people watching while he was doing these ghost hunts in Jerome, Arizona, which is how I found him.
Yeah.
Now he no longer works for that company, but he's still doing
Oh,
the treasure hunting and he does them. And there's like haunted caves he gets into and stuff like this and that. And he just, he's out there.
yeah. Jerome, and I should have mentioned, I've never performed in Jerome. Um, if you've ever been, Jerome is basically built on the side of a mountain, give or take. I mean, it's not really on the side of a mountain, but the roads are kind of twisty and turny, and they're steep, and um, so I don't know if it lends itself to reenactments, but I'm sure people do shows there. But Jerome is really cool because it is all mining town. Um,
Mhm.
and it was a lot of people lost their lives in mines around and in shootouts and things like that. But it is, from what I understand, very haunted. Yes,
Yes.
probably one of the most haunted towns in Arizona.
Wow.
Of
Yeah.
course, he would tell you, I'm sure.
Steve, you said?
The treasure hunter guy, he would
Oh,
probably tell
yeah,
you
yeah,
how
yeah,
haunted
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Listen,
people see things all the time there.
Yeah, he said. I mean, he did it for a long time. He did it for a couple years. But now he does his own thing. Like he'll be in the desert and treasure hunting, and he'll camp out in front of caves and stuff like that. And you know, um, and he goes live on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and then he'll do a ghost hunt while he's in there
Mhm.
too. So I think
Yeah,
it's cool. You guys kind of like parallel, like you do this reenacting, but you're also and the paranormal was like the people that started it were doing the ghost hunting and doing
right.
the
Well,
living.
I don't know his channel. Is he a treasure hunter? Like, does he look for lost treasures, or
Oh
is he
yeah,
look?
he finds all kind.
Does
He
he? Okay.
finds
Yeah, I
Spanish
probably.
coins, like stuff from like he has like
Wow.
artifacts. You know what I mean? Like from long time, like 7,000-year-old coins and stuff. And yeah, he's like a legit treasure hunter.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up and see.
Yeah,
That's
you have
neat.
to.
I love treasure hunting too. I think that's a really fascinating thing, and it's the problem is that especially out here is you got to be careful, and I'm sure he knows. You got to be careful where you treasure hunt because they don't want you pulling stuff out of the ground, and they think you're going to make money off it. But I sort of feel like if you find a bottle or something and it's buried underneath the ground, and you can put it in a museum, you're showing it to people, and you're letting people experience history. So how
Yeah.
is that a bad thing?
How is that a
Um,
bad thing?
but anyway, but no, I think somebody wrote. I think your friend Donna wrote. That's not what I heard. I don't know if she's talking about
The
reenacting in
name.
Jerome, huh?
No, no, no. She's talking about the Prescott. She's saying that's what she heard, like about
Oh,
the name, the Prescott
okay.
name.
She's probably right. I can't remember. I did a video on it and I can't remember. I'm mixing it up with another town, but it is pronounced Prescott, which is it's very well how the people are have their name pronounced. I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Um, so 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 the people that started Arizona Ghost Hunters we're into the paranormal. Has the paranormal now not really, has it fallen off a little bit, but the
it
name's just stuck, or
no, yeah, it has. I mean, they never really researched paranormal so much. It was more that when we go to a town, we try to stay in a haunted hotel. We try to stay in a haunted room because we want to experience stuff, and we're all kind of into that. Um, they were into it too, but they were really more into the spooky aspect of it, more of the entertainment aspect. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't think they were really into investigating, which is something that I would really like to do. I remember I was telling you about that digital recorder in that same room we were in Prescott. We did that. We tried to do an EVP session and got nothing. And so now that digital recorder sits in a drawer. Like,
Well, you should take it with you when you go to places just in case. You could walk around go inside the OK Corral and just walk around and, talk and just see if you get anything. See if anybody will talk to you, especially
when
when
I
you're
watch channels like yours and I see how much EVP stuff you guys get, I'm amazed.
it's
It's
amazing.
blows my mind.
It
So
it really is. And like what I love is sometimes you can hear them, and
really,
you get that. Yeah, I have so many on my recorder where I'll say, I just heard, I'll use this as an example. Um, I just heard a little girl say, I'm scared. I'm sitting on the floor. I have my hand out and I heard a noise in the corner. So I said, you can come close to me. You can touch my hand, and I hear, I'm scared.
oh
Right.
wow,
And I said, and it was just me and one other guy upstairs. And I said, did you just hear that right away? And he said, hear what? And I said, did you just hear I'm scared? Did you say I'm scared? I know it was a girl, but did you say it? I just gotta. And he's like, no, I didn't even hear it. I don't know what you're talking about. So
wow,
I stopped my recorder, rewound it, and sure enough, you hear I'm scared. And you hear me say,
wow,
I just heard I'm scared, you know?
that's cool.
Um, and I think those are the things that that's why I'm saying you don't need all that stuff. You know what I mean? For me, it's like if you're in the OK Corral, you're by yourself, you're walking around and you're talking and you hear another voice on your recorder, explain it.
Right,
Right?
right.
I mean, the likelihood of catching a photo, which some of us have, I have one. You know what I mean? But I've been investigating for 20 years and I have one photo.
Oh wow,
Yeah, one. It's hard to get stuff on camera, it's much easier to get the EVPs,
yeah, and the stuff on camera can so easily be,
for sure.
um, yeah. Mark, you asked if the Vulture Mine in Wickenburg
Yes.
is haunted. Yes, it is haunted. In fact, I believe Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures or one of those places did an episode there, um, and they got a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty haunted. It's a pretty neat place, the Vulture Mine. It's like a little town. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you. But yeah,
No.
that's interesting. I think, um, boy, I'm not sure what I'd do. I mean, that whole incident I had in Prescott, I know that they can't hurt me or anything, but it still scared the heck out of me. And
Well, naturally, you can't see it, and it's like you can't hear it. I tell everybody, the unknown, as humans, we're afraid of the unknown, right?
Right.
If we didn't know what ants were and one went crawling across your kitchen floor, you'd be like, what is that? You would freak
That's a good
out.
point.
You would be afraid of it, right? So, you know, if they can't hurt, like it's not something
Sure.
that's meaning harm, especially with you dressed like that, I feel like that would just automatically,
Yeah.
now the Wild Wild West, there was like a lot of territorial stuff back then. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, this is my turf, type of a thing. You walk into the OK Corral, I'm sure somebody, if there's a spirit there that's their place, maybe it won't be as inviting as, because they're thinking, who's this cowboy walking into my place or
Right.
whatever.
Right. Right.
I can imagine it, but maybe not. You never know. Maybe there's a damsel in distress in there, and
Yeah.
you
It's hard to say because it's apparently sometime after the OK Corral there was a murder there as well, so not related. So you never know. You might be
know.
getting a couple different eras and different ghosts and spirits there. But
Yeah.
the thing with an old place like that is that you're going to get overlapping
Oh, for
haunts,
sure. Oh,
and
for sure.
I think that's pretty fascinating too. You just got to pinpoint, and it's tough too when they don't give you enough information. I'm sure
Right.
that's very frustrating.
Right.
Like, I'm
You
sure
know,
the little girl that said, "I'm scared," that's all she said. She said nothing else the
that's
rest
it.
of the evening. Yeah, I mean, well, how do you go with you don't even know if you calmed her down or not because she never
Right.
said,
Right.
"Oh, thanks, Taryn, I'm feeling better."
Right.
You rock,
Right.
Taryn.
Right. You don't get that, right? I
Yeah, you
mean,
get that.
that's why I like to know the history of a place, like the historical facts of a place.
Right.
So when I go in there, I can try to connect with whatever might have been there, who was there, whatever names, whatever. Um, I don't like to know the ghost stories so much because I want to kind of, if something
Experience it
happened,
yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I don't want. I feel like that might, kind of mess with my head a little bit. But the 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 facts I love, and knowing, and I think it's very
Yeah.
important to know when you go in to investigate somewhere, the history of a location, if you can get it, if you have
Oh,
it.
yeah. Well,
Places that,
it's one of the interesting things out here is that we have a couple of theme parks. And when I say theme parks, one of them's an old movie studio where they filmed a lot of John Wayne movies. It's called Old Tucson Studios. And a friend of mine used to work he had an elevator company. Um, and he was asked to go out in the late 90s, asked to go out to Old Tucson and put in a lift in the saloon because they were going to drop a girl down from the ceiling on her gilded cage kind of thing on a swing deal. And she was going to sing and all that good stuff. And so he was installing that, and it was about midnight. And it's just security guards and him there. And he looks over and he sees this girl walk into the saloon in Victorian outfit. And then she leaves, right? So he goes up and he asks the security guard, he goes, "Oh, hey, you guys filming something?" No. "Well, why was there a girl that walked in here in a Victorian outfit?" They said, "Oh, you saw her too, huh?" It was one of those situations. Um, the thing is that Old Tucson's not built, was never built in the Victorian era. It's a
mm,
1930s thing. So then it makes you think, well, is that an old actress who died there, or did she die somewhere else and she just is attached to that place that she's walking around? Those are the kind of questions that, because they're more modern now, it's really confusing.
yeah. I mean, you think the land, like what could have been there prior, but that would generally be, Indian reservation,
Right,
something along those lines, as far as if you go back further, it's kind of, you're not in a Victorian dress,
right, right.
So, I mean, I saw a World War II apparition for
Oh,
three
wow.
seconds in Gettysburg, 3 seconds, but he was so detailed,
Oh,
and
wow.
then you think, why World War II? I mean, yes, there was uh there was a training camp there. There was, World War II at a was it World War II? I can't remember what was there. But there would have been. And then um somebody I know that owned a ghost tour place. Somebody taking the tour was taking pictures, and they captured what looked like three Revolutionary War soldiers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Why? I
Right.
mean, who knows? I mean, um,
I guess you're right. There's a sort of the crossing the streams thing there
yeah,
that happens.
unless they're just on a mission and they're walking and
There's a saloon that in a place called Trail Dust Town. That's the other one. Mark knows this place. He's going there next week, and this week, Trail Dust Town is a theme park that has a steakhouse. And in the mornings when I go film my intros and outros, I usually go to Trail Dust Town because it's not far from work. And Trail Dust Town is an old West town. It's not historic except for the 1960s. It's not a historic real town. It was made for this steakhouse and for a theme park. But in the mornings when the cleaning crew is in the back cleaning up the grills for the steak, I'll go in there and I'll shoot some video on the saloon part because it fits my scenery, right? Um,
mhm,
and there's a story. There's a big mural out front of this old mountain man that used to work there, and apparently he died. And the theory is that he still haunts the place and he
mhm.
walks around. So I never thought much of it. And then one day I was actually filming. It was during COVID. I remember specifically. And I looked over to my right shoulder, and over the saloon doors, this shadow walked by. And I went, oh, man, it's one of the cleaning people. And I felt bad because I'm trying not to disturb them from doing their job. So I stopped filming and I opened the door and there was nobody there. And I thought, okay. So I'll go all the way to the back where the cleaning people are. And they were in the same position they were in 10 minutes prior, still
Oh my
cleaning
god.
the grills. And I thought, okay, I think I just saw something, you know.
So you're kind of
It's
like
kind of funny.
without you, but you're sensitive,
I guess so. I have to tell you that's the only time I've had an experience like that. And it made me feel really good afterwards because I thought, okay, that helps me to understand more about what people experience.
right?
Because I watch a lot of shows, and the shows are like, "Oh, I saw this. I saw a wisp of smoke. I saw an orb." I don't see anything. Well, I saw something, so now I
Right.
feel vilified, as it were.
Well, and here's the thing, like, because we always talk about, oh, maybe a spirit's attached to a location. Attached is one thing, but like the Wild Wild West, like I said, they were territorial. Correct me if I'm wrong. You know what I mean? But they kind of owned places where they were at. Whether it was one of the saloons, whether owned, quote unowned. It was like they ran it. Almost like
Right.
So I can imagine being having a shootout, dying, but you're still in that same mind frame of I still got to watch out for my place. And it's different from just loving a place and staying there to being attached physically, you're
Hmm.
attached to that place. You know what
That's
I
an
mean?
excellent point. I never thought about that, but that's true. They worked so hard to get this place successful
Right.
because they needed to be a success in order to justify the move out west. That sure they might have loved that place, and when they die, they may decide they still want to protect it. That's a
Yeah.
really good point.
Yeah. So I can imagine that in Arizona, Tombstone, the Oak, like all those places probably hold a lot more um maybe residual energy or what it could be intelligent as well, but holds a lot more of that spiritual energy because
Right?
they still feel like they have to stay there and protect their territory and their places and their
It
buildings and
could be.
their you know um and then and then add on top of like the living history stuff and the reenactments and all this stuff. They see this stuff, and they're like, wow, these people, to me, just like the reenactments in Gettysburg or the reenactments wherever. I mean, if you're doing these things in these places, I feel like if there's anything lingering there, they're going to see this and say, yeah, I know this. This
Yeah.
is this is I know this. This is familiar. I can get down with this, so to
You
speak.
think whether it's a residual or not, do you think they still sort of get attracted to that? Oh, there's a guy that looks like me, kind of
Oh,
thing.
residual, I think more is I don't
Intelligent was
think
the other one you used. Yeah.
yeah, so I think residual is more just it's a recording of
Right.
a time in history. It's a natural recording of something that took place. So
Huh.
I feel residual, they don't know we're here. And but we see them, but they don't see us. They wouldn't interact because they're just repeating history. It's a recording.
Right.
Whereas intelligent says in your ear, hey. Now, maybe that could have been residual. Maybe, that's something that happens often there. This is something that somebody did to wake somebody up to do whatever they did. You know what I mean? But
Right.
to me, that's intelligent because it knew to go in your ear and say, hey, and wake you up. Obviously wanted your attention for some reason. You know what I mean? So to me, that would be like, they were trying to interact with you. That's
Right.
intelligent. And a residual haunt is just going to walk right past your bed. And you're going to go, I saw a guy walk past my bed, but he didn't
Right.
even look at me. He didn't even acknowledge me. He just
Right.
walked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. We have a cat, a cat that passed on that shows up in our bedroom occasionally, and he jumps on the
Oh,
bed and
jealous.
stuff. So, I mean, we sit there and just try to justify. I try to justify it as much as I can, but I know what I've seen out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see something
Yeah.
like, oh, bandit. Oh, that you're not there. Okay.
Oh,
But you feel it jumping
jealous.
on the bed. So yeah, it's those are the sort of things that you kind of hope are not residual because it's a loved one,
Right.
and you feel like if you talk to them that they can hear you,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. I don't think, I think animal spirits, like when people connect with animal spirits, I don't think it's residual. I feel like that's a different type of it's a different type of a living energy, and it's a different type of a spirit energy. You know what I mean?
Interesting. Okay.
I don't think they know any better. I
Okay. Okay.
know that, um, I mean, is it possible? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But again, that's me wanting that connection too. So
Right.
can I
Right.
just be saying that or I believe that because that's what I want to believe? Who knows?
I don't think we, yeah.
I haven't had too much interaction with spirit animals, you know what I mean, as I do humans. So, I can't really make a really good opinion on that. Just what
Yeah,
I
no, me either. And the funny thing is that I hold that experience I had at Trail Dust Town with the shadow figure higher than I hold the one I've seen of our cat Bandit, because I actually saw color in the cat. I saw it's a tabby cat. I saw it, out of the corner of my eye. I know what one looks like. I saw it. But in this case, with the gentleman, I just saw a shadow. But for some reason, that has more of an impact on me than seeing the cat. And I don't know why, but maybe because I don't know. I'm not,
Well, were
I
you
don't know.
looking
Maybe I should
straight
look into
ahead?
that.
You were looking straight ahead, right?
Yeah.
So this
In both
wasn't
cases. Yeah.
this so seeing what looks like what might be a person. I saw that once too. And the investigator in me was like counting the people I'm with. I'm trying to figure out, you know,
Right.
a natural cause for what did I just say?
Trying to debunk it. I
What
understand.
did I just say? I run down there, there's nobody there. But that definitely was a very eerie thing to see. And then
Yeah.
nobody being there. So I can see how that maybe not at that specific moment, but afterwards, after realizing like I just saw a shadow person, like then it's like it sits in and you're like, oh shit, I just saw a shadow. Like, what is that? Like I can see how that can outweigh seeing your cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
Because
must be
your
it.
cat is familiar. That
Right.
is not. You
Exactly.
know?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. I
Yeah.
hope I have more of those kinds of experiences because I find them really interesting, and I don't get scared from those. The guy that yelled "Hey" in my ear, he didn't yell, he whispered it. He whispered. I think he more scared me than anything. If I had been doing an EVP session or something and I was prepared for it, it wouldn't be as shocking to me. But I'm laying in bed hoping I'm going to get back to sleep because the AC went off, and that happened, and I was like, "What the hell?" Get out of my
So
room.
hey,
At least I'm
hey.
wearing pants, buddy.
um So, Mark, if Mark is still watching, I can't check my messages, but he told me to
Yeah.
ask you about somebody. And
Okay.
you just type the name down there because I said, "Who is it?" And he goes, "I want you to ask him because I want you to hear the answer."
He's
So I said,
asking about Bill Brazelton.
Was that it?
I think so. See if
And
he's still there.
I said, tell me who it is. And he goes, no, no, I want you to ask him.
Okay, he wants you to know about my ghost. You've seen my channel. I have a ghost in my channel named Bill Brazelton, who is he's there every week and he haunts me. But I mean, it's more fun than anything, obviously. But I did an investigation on a stagecoach robber that was shot in 1878 here in Tucson, and his name was William Whitney Brazelton, or Bill Brazelton. And the story is that if you go to the spot that he was killed in, he was ambushed by a sheriff's posse. I mean, they found out who he was and why he was doing all the stuff he was doing, and they found out where he was staying. He was staying in this wash, in this area that is a depression in the where rivers go through and stuff. Anyway, he was staying there, and the sheriff said, "Look, we're not going to take any chances. This guy's dangerous. He's killed people. We got to kill him." So they just waited for him to show up, and they shot him to death. So for years, the local people in the area could see his spirit walking around that area. So I mentioned that in my video, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun if the ghost of Bill Brazelton followed me home, like in Haunted Mansion? So he's now become part of my weekly videos. The ghost of Bill Brazelton shows up. He lives with me. He drinks my whiskey. He eats my food. He plays with all my guns, and he likes to pick on me a lot because he's a pranky ghost. And so that's who Bill Brazelton. So he's a real guy. A lot of people think, well, he wasn't a real guy. Yeah, he was. He was a real guy. He was he was one of the successful stagecoach robbers that would have still been robbing stagecoaches had somebody not thrown him under the bus, as it were.
Oh, somebody tipped off the sheriff.
Well, the sheriff did an investigation, and Bill Brazelton was keeping his horse at the ranch of this guy. And he told the guy, listen, if you tell anybody, I'll kill you. And so the guy said, okay, I won't tell anybody. And then the sheriff traced the horse back from the stagecoach robbery site, traced the horse back to this guy's ranch. Wow. And the guy sang like a bird, said, that's it. Yeah, it's Bill Brazelton. He lives about 3 miles over that way in a wash. Go kill him. And they went and killed him. So
wow,
that's basically how that happened.
Man, snitches get bitches were not back in the day, was it?
That's right.
No way. Yeah. Wait, snitches get stitches. What did I just say?
I think you said snitches get bitches, but somehow that kind of works for me. I'm going to start snitching on people now.
The bitches are just going to fall from the sky.
Bitches all over the place.
Oh my God, it's been a long day.
Yeah, it has, right?
So for everybody that's watching, like what do you have coming up? Like, what is it like? How you guys put out a schedule where you guys are going to be at?
We normally do. We normally do show, like, for the instance, next weekend, this coming weekend, sorry, we're supposed to be doing a show at the Empire Ranch, which is a historic ranch down here in Arizona. It dates back to the 1870s. Incidentally, did you ever see the movie Oklahoma?
Yes.
That's where it was filmed. Oddly enough, the movie Oklahoma was not filmed in Oklahoma. It was filmed in Arizona. And it was filmed at this ranch. So anyway, they did that because of power lines. Apparently, Oklahoma had too many power lines, but Arizona did not. Weird. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, we're supposed to do a show there, but we're all doing a movie right now. So we can't get down there to do it. So hopefully we'll get down and do a show in the next couple months, but we'll see.
And the movie is about what? I know we kind of you touched on
It's a Western. I don't know what it's about. I'm a background actor, AKA extra. Mm-hmm. But they typically don't give us a lot of information. I don't think they want us to leak it.
Oh, gotcha.
So I don't know what it's about. I only know the name of it is Birthright, and it's and I'm supposed to report tomorrow sometime at 6 o'clock, I'm sure, in a Western outfit.
That's cool.
I still haven't found out if I'm supposed to wear pants yet, so that's up in the air. It's kind of cold, so I'll probably wear pants, but I don't know.
Take pics.
Okay, I will. Oh, go on.
Oh, that's so
So
funny.
you're in New Jersey. So there's a lot of historical places in New Jersey. I know I used to work in a little town called Lakewood. Um,
Yeah.
and there was so many historical places in that area. Asbury Park wasn't too far from there. I
Hmm.
mean, you must have just a bunch of places you can go all the time, right? No?
Hmm. Hmm.
No?
I mean, there's like, listen, I'm not a fan of New Jersey at all. So I'm
Okay.
gonna like not really talk it up at all because I like want out so
The
bad.
Garden State.
I hate it. Oh, I get so bored. I hate living in New Jersey. Everybody that knows me knows this. Like it just I can't. But I mean, like there's some historical towns, you have and the Pine Barrens, you have like the Jersey Devil, which I don't believe in, but the Pine Barrens is a huge forest that there's all kinds of it's almost like a um I don't know, a Walmart version of, the Skinwalker Ranch. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there and it's like there's ghost stories, there's cryptid stories, there's, wrong term people stories. There's like all kinds of, you have the pineys that live back there that you want to avoid, all kinds of crazy stuff. And so
Right.
it's got like a little bit of everything, and it's just but there are places you could go to. Jersey has some history, but I'm going to Pennsylvania if I want to go to something. Even New York, you know what I mean? Like New York, there's some places maybe in in North Jersey or that might have a little bit more. But I mean, I'm 15 minutes from Philly. Philly has a lot of history. You have Valley Forge. You
And
have
cheesesteaks.
they have cheesesteaks. That's true.
Yeah, I like that.
But even
You're right.
Philly.
There's a lot of history there.
But who wants to go to Philly anymore? I mean,
Why?
honestly, I mean, well, it's just bad. It's just bad. I mean,
No, it's
people,
dangerous.
well, people are getting shot on South Street. South Street used to be so safe,
Wow.
and it's like, so who wants to go to Philly? I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody or anything. I'm just saying it's true, you
What
know?
about Atlantic City? Is there anything fun down there? I mean, they're not going to let you in to do a investigation in a casino, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, no, they won't. Atlantic City is so. Are the Phillies winning? Everybody's saying go Phillies. They must be winning. Yes, Burlington.
Or you're
Um,
missing it.
no, that's fine. I'm going to be at the Burlington County Prison Saturday.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm doing an
is it now a
investigation
code
there.
factory?
What? No, the
No.
Burlington County Prison, who actually did house Al Capone there at one point. There's a lot of famous people that were housed there, but Mount Holly, some of the buildings in Mount Holly are in the 1700s.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, Mount Holly is pretty historic. The historic part of Mount Holly, it's not there's some of the parts of it is not good, but the historic part 0-0, top of the third. Okay, good. Um, uh, but there are some places
So fun.
in Mount Holly that are amazing. But yeah, Saturday I'll be at the Burlington County Jail and I'm gonna go live from it.
Oh,
So
cool. I'll
yeah,
check
during the
that out.
investigation. Yeah, during the
Boy.
investigation for sure. Um, I haven't been there in a long, long time, so I'm looking forward to it. The place is really cool. We caught a footprint on the female. There, the females and males were housed there, and there was a female side and a male side. And on the female side, there was a bathroom, and there was a footprint caught in the middle of the shower. And on my recorder, I caught like a woman humming,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, I mean, I'm getting chills thinking about it because it's
Wow.
it's it's really cool. I can't wait to get
So are you going to go to those same spots again and try to recreate that, or are you going to go to different spots?
the prison is. I'm going to try to go to as many spots as possible while I'm there.
Yeah.
Inside the building and everything. I mean, they still have I can't remember what
How do you have decent Wi-Fi there? Or
what
are you doing it over cell? How are you going to live stream?
through my cell phone.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
I'm sure they have
I was
Wi-Fi.
thinking,
It's not out in the boonies or anything. You
no,
know
I
what I
was just,
mean?
well, I was just thinking with all that concrete and stuff, how would you get a decent signal? But apparently
Yeah,
you do,
I mean,
right?
even Eastern State, you get a good
Do
cell
you?
reception. Oh
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
even Penhurst, you get to Penhurst and Penhurst Asylum. But that's in Pennsylvania. But
Hmm.
you're going down in these these cemented tunnels. You know what I mean? You're still getting you still get cell service. Thank God.
That's cool. That's very neat. Well, I'm kind of jealous. I'd like to do stuff like that. That'd be neat.
Yeah,
You know?
it's cool. See, and that's the thing. Like I talk to people that are out west and they want to come to the east, and the east want to go to the west because
Yeah, we all
you
need to
know
converge, trade
yeah,
places.
you're like you've investigated the places, so you're like, I want
Yeah,
to go. A lot of people I know want to go to Tombstone. A lot of people I know want to go out there to, and see all this stuff that's out
sure.
there on the west side of things. I mean, I would love to go to a ghost town for sure. Like I love
Oh
all that.
yeah.
I
So
love
the
it all.
interesting thing is a lot of the ghost towns in Arizona were made of adobe. And if you're not familiar what adobe is, it's like a brick that's made of clay. So it's a technique that's been used for centuries in other cultures. Because we didn't have a lot of trees out here. I mean, in the desert, there's no there's no trees, so you can't really make a wood house. So they would make these adobe clay buildings. So what happens is a lot of the buildings in these towns have eroded over time due to weather. So when you get to them, they're really just foundations with a couple of blocks. So it's a bit disappointing in the sense that you kind of expect to walk in an old ramshackle type of building, but you don't. You just walk around these foundations.
So
Um,
amazing. I
but
love
you
it.
can definitely I would imagine that there's two or three I can mention to you that you would have to be able to get some at least one experience or two from each place. It
Yeah.
has to be,
But that's what I'm
you
saying.
know.
Even foundations. I mean, you still have the foundation. Like
Yeah.
the energy, the land. We went to. So it's interesting because we went to Hinsdale House a couple weeks ago in New York. There's so much history with that house. I mean, the house was built later on, but the land. There was two brothers that lived in this house, and stagecoaches would go past, and they would rob the stagecoaches and kill the people that were driving in them.
Oh my goodness.
They've recently found, I think, 11 unmarked graves on the property.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Also, there was an Indian massacre there on the property at one point, and so people report a lot of Indian spiritual stuff, happening there. And then there's it's cool because the house was built with a tree that had a bullet from 17 something in it. So the tree was cut down and it was used to build the house that's there now. And they have the bullet hole in the wall and everything. And
Oh
they have,
wow.
yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like the
That's
place
neat.
has so much history. Um, and to date, it's the most haunted place I've been in to date.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I experienced so much there, so many different types of things there that I
I'll have to look into that. That's interesting.
yeah, right now
You
it's
know?
number 1 on my list,
Oh
besides
really?
Gettysburg. Gettysburg is in a category all by itself, but
Oh.
Hinsdale,
Did Mark take you to Gettysburg or did you go separately from Mark?
I went separately from Mark.
Okay.
My first time going to Gettysburg was 2007. I went with my mother,
Oh, okay.
and I went grudgingly,
Oh yeah.
because I was like, I never paid attention in history. I hated history in high school, which now I wish I could go back because now I'm like a different person. Like, I'm like, I
Oh
love
good.
history. Um,
It's
she
funny
wanted me
what
to
it
go
takes.
for the reenactments.
Yeah, it's funny what it takes to get you into it. It's
Yeah.
um maybe it's you start learning about something and that's how it happened with me. I started watching westerns. Well, Hollywood westerns aren't necessarily history. They're not always history, but it got me into the history eventually because I realized that there was something more to it than just Clint Eastwood walking down the street shooting bad guys.
Although that's
Um,
pretty cool.
you know, so I started thinking, something about the history is really pulling at me.
Yeah.
And that's how I got really into it.
Yeah. Yeah, my
Uh,
my mom took me she asked me to go, nobody else would go with her, and I said, "I wonder why." I'm like, "What's Gettysburg? What's in Gettysburg?" Well, I was like, I grudgingly went, and the second I stepped foot on that land, I was like, "What have I been missing my entire life?" Like, this place is
cool.
phenomenal. Then we went to the reenactments, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love this." Like, I was like, "This is amazing." Everything. And now I have the coordinates tattooed on my arm,
Oh,
hope to
really?
move there one day. So,
Wow.
I went from not like, like not wanting to go to just absolutely falling in love with the place, and
Huh.
up until I went to Arizona. There was no other place that could compare. And then the second I went to Arizona, I was like, oh my God, this is my second favorite place on the face of the earth.
Wow.
And that's the God's honest truth. I say it all the time. I'm like, Arizona is the only other place that I would go back to revisit. And like, you know what I mean? Like I do Gettysburg, I loved it.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad. Yeah. If you ever come out, let us know. I mean,
Oh
Mark
yeah.
is getting ready to go out this week, your buddy Mark, and he's never been out here, so it'll be interesting for him. But, it's, there's so many places out west that I'm an East Coast guy too. So when I came out here and I realized that I would much rather look at mountains than skyscrapers in New York City,
Yeah.
I said that's it. I think it's time to go.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm living
Getting-
in a concrete jungle when I can live out there and experience all of it.
Yeah.
And
And it's getting worse. Everywhere they see trees and a forest and land,
yeah,
they're bulldozing and building, and it's getting so congested and I can't stand it.
yeah,
I like to see land and scenery and trees and mountains and animals, not dead on the side of the road, but
yeah,
frolicking I like to see all that stuff,
yeah.
and it's just getting so bad. It's getting so bad. Not to mention how expensive it is to live here for nothing. I mean,
Oh, I
you
imagine.
don't get what you pay for. So it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I mean,
That's tough. Yeah, I can imagine that's. I know we were just back east a little while ago, and we went to Long Island, and um, we were talking to people, and they were telling us all these Lyft drivers and Uber drivers were telling us why they had to do these as second jobs, and it was to pay off their property taxes. I said, "How bad could that be?" Well, it was a salary out here. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I
here
thought,
it's here. It's like a third job.
wow, I can't
Here it's like a
imagine
third
the
job.
property tax. I'm sure it's bad in Jersey Red, who's on right now.
Yeah,
Uh, Jersey Red has told me it's pretty bad too. He
yeah,
lives on some land that's really old as well, but he's told me that it's bad. So I
it's
don't
so
think he
bad.
lives that far from you, but
Yeah, it's so bad. Um,
yeah.
and
But you
it's
guys got good pizza, so
we do have good
there's
pizza.
that.
That is a plus. However,
It is
not
fun.
enough to keep me here.
Right. Okay.
I
I
mean,
understand.
it's like I'll there are places in Jersey that I'm sure have farmland and stuff like that, which I know it does, but it's just it's just too much. It's just too congested, too expensive.
Sure.
Like our taxes before we sold our house and moved to a smaller home in a different town. I mean, they were almost up 12,000 a year, and for what?
Yeah. Yeah.
For what?
I understand. I
Twelve
understand.
thousand a year. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah.
Um, Chicago pizza. I've never had Chicago pizza, so I can't say.
That's Mark. I mean, he and I have had this discussion. Chicago pizza is very good too, but they have deep dish. I don't know if you've ever had deep dish pizza, but that's
I
that's
like
their
it once in a while, but I'm a thin crust, or I'm like a
yeah,
rich, like just normal
yeah.
New York style pizza. Like the
So I and Mark, I love you, man, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in your credibility. You eat your steaks like beef jerky. So
oh my god,
I
Mark.
mean, you eat well done steaks, man. I'm
Oh, I
sorry,
would
but
have to eat well done too.
you
I
do
don't
well
eat
done
steak.
also.
I don't eat steak, but if I were, and I would, they would have to be like totally like zero red, zero pink.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Ugh.
I'm feeling a little left out right now.
I
I'm
went
feeling
to I
a
went to
little
dinner.
lonely.
I
Oh.
went to dinner and with a group one time, and the guy next to me, they said, "How do you want your steak?" And he's like, "Still mooing." And I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
Knock
"Ugh."
its horns off, wipe its butt, and stick it on a plate.
Yeah, like it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm like, "Are you serious?" Like, it's so disgusting. I
That's what
don't.
I
Okay, we
heard.
have to go down that route, but um, um, well done is the way to
You're
go.
made for each other, Mark. The two of you.
Oh, Steve. He said $12,000. That's a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get paid for my
Telling you.
YouTube videos for
No.
sure.
Do you mind me asking, are you monetized on YouTube?
No.
No?
Nope.
I don't even know what the threshold is anymore. Is it
I don't know either.
okay?
But it's crazy because the people that get monetized are the ones that are fake. You know what I mean? And cause a lot of
Strife.
yeah, like they're
Yeah.
they're fake. They put a lot of fake stuff out there, and people fall for it. And it's stupid. Rachel says nothing more, nothing less, in my opinion. She said a good steak is cooked medium.
Okay.
Somebody else said medium rare.
It's all right. Everybody's going to have a different opinion. I just was really just trying to get under Mark's skin a little bit, but I'm going to see him in a couple days, so he can.
I like your hat, by the way.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it.
So
Yeah.
is this your get up when you do your
Mostly the hat is become a staple of the channel for the
yeah,
most part.
yeah.
But I normally, when I shoot my intros and outros, I do it in the morning before I go to my job. So I don't get dressed up in Old West attire all the time, except for the hat. Most of the time, I'm just dressed up in my work shirt, and then over my work shirt, I wear another shirt.
So is this what you do? This is what you do for a living? This is how you make your living doing what you're doing, or is this a side?
No, I manage a computer store
Oh, okay.
for a
But
living.
okay, we all have. I was
I'm a
just
computer
curious. I
nerd.
didn't
Yeah.
know.
No,
Yeah,
I do this for it's my I guess
passion.
YouTube would be my side hustle if you want to call it that. But yeah, the reenactment stuff I do, it's my hobby. It's my just like yours, right? I mean, paranormal
It's
is
my
your
passion. It's your
yeah,
passion.
it's your passion. Exactly.
I agree with you on this. McDonald's coffee is the best.
That's true. I yeah, the reason I get McDonald's coffee is because it's right near Trail Dust Town.
I love their
Um,
coffee,
and it's just easy to get, and I can get right there and grab it and go.
but it's good.
I think it's good. You
I
know,
can't.
I think
It would ruin my. I wouldn't go and get it if it wasn't good because a bad cup of coffee just sets my whole day off.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, people claim Starbucks is the best, and I've had an over roasted cup of Starbucks before, which is not
jet
good in
fuel.
my opinion. If it's all bitter and awful, then I don't like it. But
Yeah,
it seems like with McDonald's, it's always the same cup of coffee. So
yeah,
consistency is key, I think.
it's really good. Jersey Red. Wawa. I like iced coffee from Wawa.
Wawa.
They're iced coffee. Have you ever had Wawa? Wawa's
Yes.
awesome. But
Never
yeah,
had their coffee though.
they what?
I've never had Wawa coffee.
It's good. I do like the ice coffee.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're iced coffee, but open fire coffee and fresh brook trout.
What is it?
I think he said open fire coffee and fresh brook,
Oh, yeah. He's talking about over a
like
fire.
over fireplace.
Campfire.
I've never had it that way.
Campfire coffee is something I can't even explain it. So really, have you ever had campfire coffee, Taryn?
No, I have not, but I
And
want it
there's a
now.
couple different ways people make it, but ultimately, it, you take the grounds and you basically just boil them in water, and you just try not to get the grounds in your cup. But that way, you get all the oils, you get all the flavors. There's nothing missing from the coffee, and it's usually very smooth. It's just something we can't do every day, right? We can't sit
No,
there and
right?
light a
Yeah.
fire. I'm gonna
I
go
would,
make coffee, dear, and you go light a fire in the backyard, and
yeah,
we just don't
I
do
would
that.
like to try it.
Oh, it's good. I
Jersey
think it's
Red
good
says stock
personally.
coffee.
What is
Ew,
it?
sock coffee.
Yeah, sock cop. Well, yeah, okay. So people would put the grounds in a sock, a clean sock, not a dirty sock, because that's a weird flavor, right? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe to me it is. You might like dirty sock coffee, Jersey Red. I don't know.
No, percolator. Yeah.
Percolator, yeah, yeah, percolator.
Yep.
I think
Uh,
all of us had a grandmother or a mother or something when we grew up. They had a percolator, whether they used it or not, right?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would like to try this open fire coffee sometime.
I tell you, if you ever go to a
But I would want
reenactment event
somebody
like
that
a
knows
Civil
what they're
War,
doing.
if you ever go to a Civil War event again, or any kind of reenactor event that they're doing a battle, walk right up and say, "Can I get a cup of coffee?"
I think I would. I think I might. I'm going to tell Dustin to make sure we have campfire coffee on site when he does the reenactments, the 160th next year.
Absolutely, make sure.
Dustin,
The weird
we
thing
need
is that
somebody to do campfire coffee.
I've had it where people have said, "Oh, it's just Folgers." Well, it didn't taste like Folgers. I've had Folgers; it didn't taste like Folgers. So I don't know. It's something about the way it's prepared makes it taste better
I use Old Tobacco cotton pouches.
instead of a sock. Yeah, yeah, that works too.
I use a percolator every day. No better coffee.
Oh my God, we're getting into a coffee
I know.
conversation.
We've talked about almost everything: steak, coffee. We've talked about a
Goat,
lot of stuff. Go
gunfighters.
the OK Corral and
That's
old
right.
Western stuff. And
Incidentally, I don't know if you like barbecue, Taryn, but you mentioned the Alamo.
mhm.
Texas, in my opinion, Texas has probably some of the best barbecue in America, if not the best. In my opinion, it's the best. And in San Antonio, where the Alamo is, it's a great town. They've got a couple of good barbecue places there. So, do you like barbecue?
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
used to. I used to. I and I'm a very picky eater, and I'm not a big meat eater, and it's only because honestly, like if I eat too much of it, it upsets my stomach. I don't know
Okay.
why. So I tend to kind of lean back off towards it just because, like I'll eat some turkey, I'll eat chicken, but um like pork and steak and all that stuff, like it just, I don't know if it's too heavy. And again, even with chicken and turkey, I can't eat
Sure.
that much. I have to eat like little bits of it
Well,
because
do you like Mexican food?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I really think, I mean, I know you want to come back to Arizona, and I would love for you to come back to Arizona, but I think you should also go to San Antonio, because one of the best cities in Texas, because of the history, but because of I mean, they have everything there. They have this place called the River Walk, which just has tons of restaurants. It's just really picturesque. So if you ever go see the Alamo, maybe do an investigation. There's a couple other places there that are really popular that you can go do investigations at. So I think you should do that
And
at
not
some
come to
point.
Arizona.
No, I think you should come to Arizona, but I think you
Yes.
should also go to Texas. You need to go a lot of places. You got to go to Colorado. You got to go to South Dakota.
Yes,
You better start
Colorado.
making a list.
Yeah, we need to like I need somebody to just pay for my travels.
Right. And maybe that will be YouTube.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Maybe
right.
not today, but maybe tomorrow.
Yes. I need somebody just to say, "Hey, you know what? Just quit your job and I'm going to sponsor you, support your paranormal journeys and just go to every state and go to paranormal investigating every state. We'll pay for it." I'm like, "Okay. That'll work."
I I hope you get that. You
Yeah.
know,
Maybe if
you
I
know.
win this big Powerball, who
Yeah,
knows?
win the Powerball. There you go.
I win the Powerball
Or
and
put a bet on the Phillies for the end of the game.
yeah, right? Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Um,
I'm gonna probably have to jump off pretty
yes, I
soon.
was just gonna say I've had you on for an hour and a half. It's been
So
a great show. We've talked about so much. I hope we talked about everything that you wanted to talk about as far as
oh,
you
absolutely.
and
Sure.
what you do. And you must go through to get to Arizona from Jersey, you must go through Texas.
Who said that?
Steven, I don't think so because Texas is kind of down, right? I
Yeah,
mean, I
well,
get people
you
across.
can go that way. Yeah, sure. You can
I mean,
go
I
a lot of
could go
ways.
that way, right?
I
I would
think
take the scenic route.
the scenic route would be through Texas, I'm sure. I mean, well, actually, I don't know. I haven't driven to the East Coast before, so I don't know. I think Texarkana through Texas is apparently pretty bad, but um, I'm sure you could get here and still stop in Texas if you wanted to, maybe on the way back.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Um, I want to thank you so much. If there's anything else you want to say, if you want to plug anything, if you want to tell
No.
people, where they can find you, your YouTube,
Sure.
all that stuff.
Well, I'm at Arizona Ghostriders on YouTube, so if you just type in Arizona Ghostriders, you'll find us. Um, Just look for the guy with the black hat. That's me. And
I love that hat. I love it.
thank you. We're all about the Old West history, not just about reenactments, but about Old West history and about people who try to relive it, like through reenactments, through movies, um, and through our channel. So you learn a lot. And we hope to keep going in the future, do some stuff like you guys are doing on Paranormal Brew.
Hey, yeah. And listen, if you ever need any help with anything or have any questions, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
Please, you
Appreciate it.
know, um, I'm always, now we're friends on my Facebook. So like, please reach out whenever and come back on again. I would love to have you
Absolutely.
on again.
Thank you.
Um, after your movie's done and maybe we could talk about that. I know there's not too much you can talk about it right now, but
At some point I'll be able to talk about it, but
yeah, yeah, I would love to
yeah.
have you on again. And
Sure.
thank you so much. You've been such a pleasure,
Thank you.
and I
Appreciate
enjoy
it. Thank you for
working
having
with
me
you.
on.
Yes, anytime. And just say go Phillies.
Go Phillies. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was amazing. He was awesome. And I just want to say, Jersey Red, I love you. I love you for always boosting my horrible ego. I love you for that. Thank you. And next week, let me see here. I have let me see Wednesday. Oh, I have Kyle Magnus who owns White Hill Mansion, or runs White Hill in here in New Jersey. So I'll have him on. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. And please go watch the Phillies win. And I love you all for watching. Thank you so much. Mark, love you. Thank you. And I'll see you guys soon.